Welcome to this episode of The Mobile Classroom, the weekly video podcast where we demonstrate today's most popular technologies. I'm James Messer, and this week it's all about productivity. I've put together a number of applications that are really going to help you get up and running on your system faster. And once you're up and running, do some things that you never even realized were available on your computer. This is really a smattering of different things that I've compiled together, and I think you're going to like what we have available for you in this episode of the Mobile Classroom. Before we get started, I want to remind you that this particular week is absolutely free. It's one of our free podcasts. For those of you that have followed along, every third video is for mobile members only. Our mobile members have access not only to an exclusive video every third video, but they get every single video in full HD, 1280 by 720 resolution. That's the native resolution that I'm doing on the screen. So they're able to see this crystal clear every single week. If you're not a mobile member, you get a little bit smaller version. So just another advantage of being one of our mobile members at the Mobile Classroom. And if you'd like to learn more about that, you can look at us online at themobileclassroom.com/members, and we'll tell you all about it. When we talk about productivity on our system, it really is a lot of different applications that we use every day. And I have just quite a few that I take advantage of and are constantly using, or at least referencing back to whenever I have a particular need or a particular problem that needs to be solved. I'm going to show you one today that is ZeuApp, Z-E-U app, that is very useful for getting a lot of programs installed on your computer very quickly. As some of you may recall in previous episodes, I showed you Ninite. This is very similar to that. There are a couple of differences, so I'll take you through what those differences are. Another set of applications that is really useful to me is Portableapps Com. I go to a lot of different places and I always carry a USB memory stick with me. And that memory stick has on it the most important apps that I'll always need. So you'll never be in a situation where you sit down in front of a computer and it doesn't have the applications that you need to be able to do your job or perform a particular function. Portable apps can really get you out of a sticky situation there. I also run into situations where I use up a lot of disk space. My Mobile Classroom podcasts, the videos that I do over on Professor Messer, and really just downloading these massive files use up a lot of disk space. So how do you manage that? How do you know where you're using the most disk space? How do you know which ones you should be really thinking about deleting and which ones should you be keeping? I also have a number of different hard drives connected to my computer simultaneously, and WinDirStat helps me figure out really what's going on there. We'll step through the real interesting specifics about managing disk space with WinDirStat. And lastly, if you're someone who does a lot of text editing on your computer, we're going to go through Notepad Plus. It's an amazing little text editor. And if you've used Notepad on your system and you've realized you need some more capabilities for formatting or word processing, but you didn't want to use a full-blown word processor or one of these very advanced professional text editing tools, you may find that Notepad Plus fits perfectly into what you're trying to do. Let's start with ZeuApp, Z-E-U app. It's kind of an odd name, but it's from a company called ZeuSoft. And if we flip over to their website, here is their website at zeusoft.net. You can see Zeus is part of the name there. I think that's what we're playing on with ZeuApp. This is at blog.zeusoft.net/ZeuApp, or you can just go to Google and type in ZeuApp and you'll find it. For those of you that recall the Ninite setup that I showed earlier, where you go to a website, you can choose which particular applications you'd like to install. You click one button and it installs it on your computer, which is extremely useful. And I really like the tools that are available on Ninite. ZeuApp, same type of scenario, except in this case, it's not running from a website, it's running from an executable. So even if you don't have a browser installed on your computer to begin with, you could at least launch this program, which could then download the browser that you need. So a little bit of extra functionality there. There's also a larger number of applications in ZeuApp to choose from. So you may get some different ideas about different applications that you'd like to install on your computer. Let's look at ZeuApp and see what the differences are. As far as programs go, ZeuApp, very minimalistic. It pops up this one screen. It is always going to be this size. You can't resize this particular screen in a way that's useful. If you end up being on a very old computer with a very low resolution, you know that at least ZeuApp is going to be able to work on that computer. You'll see across the top a lot of different categories, and then you'll see different programs listed in the main part of ZeuApp. There's not a lot of options here. You can go to your file menu and visit ZeuSoft online. You can use the help that's in here and find out which version you happen to be running. This is version 1.4.0.0. And there's an exit program. So now you've got the basics of what you would need to get some programs started. One difference already you can see is that it is a Windows executable, so you don't need a web browser to be able to flip through these different programs. One also thing that's different is that this is an individual program that you would download one at a time. This is unlike Ninite, where you can consolidate everything together, click one button and have it install multiple programs simultaneously. ZeuApp doesn't work quite that way. ZeuApp really expects that you'll download one at a time. One of the advantages I like to ZeuApp, though, is that it has got a lot more applications in it, and everything in here is either open source or it's free to use. So you've got a lot of different capabilities. Here's the categories: archivers, audio, video. You can see these across the top. And you can see even in archivers, here are 5 different archiving programs. If you aren't quite sure exactly what these programs do, it's probably worth the time to go out to those program websites and see what the differences are in those particular applications. You don't want to be in a situation where you're installing both 7-zip and the Universal Extractor and pzip all at the same time when there may be some overlap between the capabilities. The idea here is to give you more options, not to make it so that you have to install more applications. What's nice also about this is there are situations, let's go over to the video section, you'll notice that there's more than a single page of these. Don't miss that. There is a scroll bar on the right side. You may miss certain applications if you don't go over here and hit that scroll bar on the side. So make sure you're hitting all of those. I don't tend to download things directly from ZeuApp. One of the challenges you have is with all of these applications, I think there's 80 different apps in here. Certainly there will be new applications made available. And so sometimes I won't just click the download button, I'll click the visit website button. So if you want to learn more about VLC Media Player, I love VLC Media Player, a lot of capabilities. It's the media player that I use on my computer. If I click visit website, it'll bring up my browser screen and go to the VLC Media Player website. And here's the VLC website that we open up. So now we can look to see the version that's listed in the ZeuApp is 1.0.5. If I look at the Windows download, you see that indeed the latest package is 1.0.5. So thankfully those two are synchronized up and we're not going to have a problem there. Now if VLC today comes out with a new version 1.0.6, I won't have that version in that previous version of my ZeuApp. It will still show 1.0.5. This does not update each individual app inside of the application. So just another thing to keep track of. If you have an older version of ZeuApp, you may want to check to make sure that you get the latest version, so at least most of the programs in here are up to date. But it becomes very easy to do. If you would just want to click the download button, it's going to use its own built-in downloader to download from that URL. So again, I mentioned earlier, if you happen to come across a system that has a browser that is not working, or they just don't have a browser installed on the computer for some reason, you can always go into the views here and download it directly from ZeuApp. Let's see that in our Internet tab. You can see all the different browsers available: Firefox, Chrome, Safari, Opera, Maxthon, Avant browser, Thunderbird, a lot of different internet type capabilities. So now you're able to download, install, and do everything from this one program. And that way you'll, even if you don't know what you're running into on a machine that you're coming across, now you've got a program that can at least get you up and running very quickly. If you are someone who's very mobile and you're going to a lot of different places and you're going to a library or to a lab environment, but there are certain applications that you always want to have available and you don't want to have to install them on that particular machine. In fact, you may not have rights to install them on the machine that you're on. You would just like to be able to run that application, and when you're done, be able to leave without leaving any trace that you were there or disturbing anything on that particular computer. The people at Portableapps Com have already thought of that idea. Let's see what that's all about. at portableapps.com. You can see on this website, it's your digital life anywhere. And you can see there are a smattering of applications. Look at all these different applications. The idea is that you would be able to take all of these applications, put them on a USB drive, simply slide them into a computer, and as long as that computer can read that USB drive, you can run those applications. You're not installing those applications on the other computer. You're not leaving any code on the other computer, any personal files. Everything runs from the USB drive. When you're done, you pull out your USB. If you go to another computer, you slide it in, and you continue doing what you were doing. The Portableapps.com website shows you just a list of the different apps that are there. If you click the Download Now link that's there, it gives you a summary of the differences. You can download a very, very small version of this where you can decide exactly which apps you'd like to put. Maybe you have a very, very small USB drive. If you've got a relatively decently sized USB drive here, there's a light version which comes with some different applications. You can see them listed here. And then if you are running a larger, at least 400 megabyte USB drive, or you have that much room on your USB drive, then you can install all of these different applications. What's nice about portable apps is it really doesn't require that you reformat. You can put other programs and other files on the USB drive. You don't have to dedicate that space on the USB drive, and yet everything will still run from that USB configuration. Now, you may notice there are some applications here you may not expect. You know that if you install Firefox or you install Thunderbird, there's an installation program that puts files on your hard drive. So for portable apps, many of these applications have been specially built just to be used in this portable way. They are a portable version of that application. But once you get this up and running, there is a list of all of these apps on the portableapps.com website. You can download them directly from there in that portable format and install them onto your USB drive. So now this becomes something that you can customize, you can add to it. Let's see what it's all about. Let's run portable apps from my USB drive, and we'll install some apps and see how everything runs. Here's my computer. I've got a lot of different drives on my computer, but the one I want to show you is this J drive, portableapps.com. I've got a 2 gig USB drive connected into my computer, into a USB slot there, and it comes up as portableapps.com. And if we open that up, you can see I've got some files right there. Now on my computer, I don't have my computer set to automatically launch applications whenever I put a USB drive in. It's not set to auto run. There is an autorun.inf here, and if auto run was enabled on a computer and you put this USB drive in, it would automatically start up the Portable Apps application. But of course, they have this start portableapps.exe right here. Let's launch that and see what we get. And here's your portableapps.com, your digital life anywhere. Let's load this up so you can see it. There we go. So here's what launches whenever you start the portableapps.com. This is a front end that now allows you to run any of these applications. I just downloaded the stock set of apps, loaded it up on my computer, and this is what I got. I did add one extra one, which was this Putty Portable, because I need the ability to telnet and SSH into other computers. But look at all the things that come with it. I've got browsers, email, I've got media players, I've got games, I've got Office type applications. So very easy to get up and running very, very quickly just by taking your USB drive along with you. Let's see what this looks like. If I click the Mozilla Firefox Portable Edition, it's going to launch a version of Firefox that is just for the Portable Apps application. And here it is. It comes up with the standard configurations. It even comes up with some of the plugins that I have on my computer, like my RoboForm. Let's clean up our screen a little bit so you can see it a little bit differently. Now we're able to we're running everything from our USB drive. This makes it very easy now for me to install different bookmarks, do other things on my USB drive, and I'm browsing regardless of what programs happen to be installed on my computer. So it becomes very, very flexible for me to be able to use. And any of the applications that are there will just follow you, whether you're doing word processing or you're playing games or you need to get to the web, everything is there on your USB drive. Well, almost everything. There may be applications that you don't have here that you might need. And let's see what's there. If we go to our portableapps.com application, there is an options link here where I can install a new app, refresh my application icons, or get more apps. Let's do that. Let's get some more applications. It's going to open this up in our existing Portable Apps browser here. And here are all of the different portable apps that are out and available on our system. So we have accessibility, development, education. There's a bunch of games here, some graphics programs. Those might come in handy. A lot of different internet programs that are accessible out there. Some music and video. That can never be a bad thing. Office apps. So you see that a lot of different applications are here and available. One of the things that you're able to do from here is choose any one of these links, and it will take you to a page where you can download some of these pieces. So let's say that we wanted to download Notepad Plus, which is a really nice text editor. We're going to look at Notepad Plus this week and later on in this video. So let's click Notepad Portable. And it says Notepad Portable is text editing to go. And it even gives you a link right on this page that you can use to download Notepad Plus. So let's click that. One of the things that you will notice is that it tells you it's 4 meg to download, 11 meg to install. When you're working in a USB drive, there's such a limited amount of space available. It's nice to know exactly how much of that space is going to be available before and after we do this installation of this program. Another thing you'll notice is that Notepad Plus is going to install, and it's a Notepad Plus. There is an extension on here called PAF. That is the Portable Apps format. That's the format that is specifically designed to install into this Portable Apps directory. So if we downloaded Notepad Plus from the Notepad Plus website, it does not come automatically in this Portable Apps format. It may be compatible with running off a USB drive, but this Portable Apps format integrates into that whole Portable Apps menu and everything else that it does. I'm going to save this file, and it's going to save it into our Portable Apps directory that I've created on my computer. I've already got the putty that I downloaded earlier. Let's click Save. And it's going to save that out now in that Portable Apps directory. And there it is. And why don't we just run it? It's an executable file. It's an installation file. So let's run it and see what we get. Here's our Portable Apps. Do we really want to run this? Windows 7 is making sure that I know what I'm doing here. And I do. Let's run it. Notepad Plus Portable. This will guide us through the installation. That sounds good. Notice that it automatically finds where my portable system is. There's my Portable Apps, Notepad Plus Portable. So let's install. Notepad Plus Portable is being installed. We can even show the details of this if we want. It's a little bit slower than installing onto your hard drive because it's on the slower USB flash drive. So you do have to have a little bit of patience when you're installing some of these applications. This is about 11 megabytes that it's uncompressing. It's installing onto the USB drive and it's putting it there. But in the end, it only takes a couple of minutes for most of these applications to get installed. Notepad Plus Portable has been installed in your device. Click Finish to close this wizard. Let's do that. And that's it. It's now there. If we go back to our Portable Apps platform and we look here, there's our Notepad Plus Portable. So we installed it and put it into this list. And if I click that, it launches the portable version. And now I'm running Notepad Plus on my computer. Just that simple to get things up and running. I can now take this USB drive out of my computer. I can take it somewhere else. I can plug it into another computer, and all of these applications will follow me. I'll have my putty, I'll have my Notepad Plus, and any of the other portable applications that I install onto this USB drive. Very, very portable, extremely useful, and can get you out of a jam if you need to get certain applications running on a computer that you've never connected to before. As we use more media files on our computer, more movies, more audio, more pictures, we're going to start using up a lot more disk space, and it becomes a little bit more of a challenge to figure out where are these big files, and is this something I can manage? Should I put these in a different place? Where are these coming from? And there's a great program called WinDirStat, if you're on a Windows machine, that can help you a lot with finding these little files or these big files and managing how much space they're taking. Here's the WinDirStat website at windirstat.info. And then WinDirStat, as you may have figured out by now, stands for Windows Directory Statistics. This is a relatively old program. It's one that the last release notes here are from 2007. This page itself updated in 2009, and yet the functionality of this program is really difficult to find in other programs like this for free. The Windows Directory Statistics program scans your entire hard drive, looks at all of the different files, categorizes the files by type, colors the files by type, and creates a graphical view that helps you understand how the disk is being used on your computer. Let's start up WinDirStat and see what it does on my computer. When you first launch the WinDirStat program, it looks at all the different drives you have on your computer, and it asks you to select a drive that it can then scan to see what types of files are on there. So this initial process takes a number of minutes. I'm going to choose my D drive here, and we'll click OK. It's going to go out to my D drive, and I'm going to maximize this so you can see it a little better, and goes out there and begins scanning all of the different files that I might have out there, all of the different directories, all the different information. And once it's finished scanning those, it now starts to show me visually on my screen exactly the types of files that I have out there. Look how colorful this is. So on the upper left, we have all of the different folders that are out there on my computer. On the upper right, I have a list of the colors of the different applications that I use, and it sorts them by the size, the amount of space that each type of app is taking on my computer. And then you've got this picture down here at the bottom, which is, it's a work of art, really, isn't it? It's very colorful, it's very graphical, and you can start to see the patterns of how you're using the data on your computer. As you mouse over these boxes, you can see that each one of these little boxes is a file, and each one of these files is taking up a certain amount of disk space. And so now you can see very easily, I have some really, really big files on this computer. These are Windows these are virtual machines. So these are 10 and 20 gigabyte files that I have on my computer. They're just taking up a massive amount of disk space on my system, but that's exactly the size of those files. That's completely normal to have files that size for VirtualBox that I'm using for my virtualization. So I know those are going to be big, but it's explaining to me here that not only are they big, they're taking up a massive amount of your hard drive space. You may want to consider maybe moving them somewhere else. Maybe you need them on this drive and you should find ways to free up other disk space. The colors that are here, we also have other ISO files that I've set up so that I can install operating systems very quickly and very easily for some of the videos that I do over on ProfessorMesser.com. Then you've got these other sections where I have created those certification training courses that I do during the week, and you can see some of those other courses. And you can see they're bundled together into these little groups where I've created, this is an MTS file, which is a file that's a video format from the video camera that you're looking at right here. MP4 files that are used once I render some of that down. Other CFA files, which are used for buffering and other capabilities within my video editing program. So each one of these little pieces is taking up disk space on my computer. It may be that I've got a lot of different files on my computer that are the same file type. So this happens to be my online files, some of the portable files that I have set up in a subdirectory. But now look how easy it is to find those things and access that information. If you're ever in a situation where you'd like to really go to that directory and maybe delete some of these files, you can click on any of these and then right mouse click on those. There we go. And you can see it takes you right to the file. And if you wanted to go to this particular directory, you can open up a Windows Explorer to go there, and it will open up an Explorer screen and show you all of the different programs you happen to have within there. So that makes it very easy for me to be able to see exactly what's on this particular computer, where the files are, and sure enough, those are really big. There's the Windows XP, 31 gig, 20 gig, 3 gig. I've got some really big files on this particular drive, and now I can decide what to do with them. Should I move them? Should I delete them? So not only was I able to see them very quickly, I was able to immediately go to that directory and then decide what to do with it. If I'd like to delete it from here, I could always open up also and copy it from here, or I can do a command prompt to here as well and just delete it from the command prompt or move it from the command prompt as well. This is the idea, is to be able to graphically get a view of what's going on so that you can manage the space in your drives a little bit easier. And with this graphical view, WinDirStat really makes that very, very easy to do. When I started putting together this week's podcast on productivity apps, I was thinking about including Notepad Plus. I've written Notepad Plus here. The idea was that this is an application I use all the time. I'm constantly doing text editing of all different types, and I've been using Notepad Plus for a while now, and I really like the capabilities in here. But I recognize not everybody does a lot of text editing, but it was so functional to me, I wanted to be sure to include it this week just so you could see if you ever needed a text editor that went beyond the capabilities of the built-in Notepad in Windows, you may want to consider using Notepad Plus. Notepad Plus is another free program. You can get to Notepad Plus at notepad-plus.sourceforge.net, and it will take you to the Notepad Plus website. Very graphical, very nice to see. Gives you an explanation of Notepad Plus. There is a lot of functionality in Notepad Plus. The syntax highlighting and WYSIWYG and auto completion. There's plugins that'll also do other capabilities like being able to do spell checking, which I really like to have in my text editing. In a way, is a lot of the reasons that we use a word processor to do quick little updates and little pieces of text can now be done in Notepad Plus. It's a very fast program. It's a very small program, and it runs extremely well. Let's have a look at some of the capabilities. When you start Notepad Plus, it is very different than Notepad. There are a number of different capabilities here. You can notice a lot more functionality across the menus that are here at the top. And if we start clicking some of these, you'll notice even in the edit menu, there are a lot of different functions here. If you're somebody who does a lot of text editing, though, you're going to start to see things where you have capabilities that are not in a traditional text editor, like converting all the cases to uppercase or lowercase, duplicating lines, splitting lines, joining lines, creating comments and blocks in here. So what we've done with this Notepad Plus, what the development team has tried to do, is to create a platform that people could use for many different reasons. And so whether you're doing plain text editing or you're doing development work or you're updating a web page, you can really do a lot in here. Let me give you an idea of exactly how that works. For instance, here's the mobile classroom website. This looks pretty familiar if you've been here before. If I right mouse click, I can view the source that's on the page, and it's going to bring up all the HTML text. But this is not something that I can edit. All of the information in here is really just read only. If I right mouse click, I can Control A rather, I can select everything, and Control C, I can copy that information to the clipboard. Now let's flip back to our Notepad Plus, and I'm going to paste this in. So now I've got all of that text in my text editor, and you'll notice, I'm going to go all the way to the top here. You'll notice it kept the formatting here, and notice it put in some other pieces too. It's showing me where the tabs are that were used to delimit how I'm able to view this information on my website. So graphically, it's giving me some feedback on the screen of exactly the formatting that's being used here. And I can view this in different ways. You also have other ways to view the information. If you wanted to show, for instance, the end of the line, you can put the carriage return and line feed type notice on here. You'll see that's very important if you do a lot of development on different platforms. It becomes very, very useful to know exactly how that end of line was put in there. There are other capabilities in here too that I really like, because there are times when I want to change a particular bit of text, like this one right here, but I would just want to change that column. But notice if you try to select the column, it's selecting everything between that as well. In Notepad Plus, I can hold down the Alt key and I drag, and notice it just drags the column. And if I hit delete, it deletes everything in that column. So if you're somebody who's been using this to do a lot of documents that have tables in them or information that's arranged in a column mode, that can help you quite a bit. You can also search and replace in that column mode as well. So some nice functionality there. I'm going to undo with the undo function there so we can get back to where we were. Now this is HTML, and we can see it's HTML, but this file has not been saved as HTML. One nice capability about Notepad Plus is it recognizes the type of file that you are working with based on the name of the file. So let's save this file off. I'm going to save this just in my desktop, and we'll call this mobileclassroom.html. And when I save it as an HTML file, Notepad Plus says, oh, that's HTML. Let me now put you in a mode where everything graphically is looked at syntactically as an HTML file. And look, you've got colors, you've got views of exactly what's going on. It even noticed here, if I've got differences in how the script mode on this line is, you can see where the script starts and where the script ends. It gives you a graphical bit of feedback on exactly where things are and the different categorizations of this text. If it's a comment, it puts it in as green. And you can now visually see when you're stepping through this, did I type everything in properly? Is the information that's in here exactly the way I would like it to look? And now we're able to get that graphical feedback on this piece. There's also a way that you can change the screen to be a little bit more personable in the way you like to work. So there are different styles that you can set up for these pieces. So if we go to the settings pull-down menu, there's a style configurator. And for all of the different style types that are here, look at all these different formats that Notepad Plus recognizes. We're using HTML, for instance. Maybe when I open up an HTML, I would like it to work in a certain way. Maybe I would like it to be in this darker format, this Bespin format. And there's a lot of different formats that come in here automatically. Here's an obsidian. It's a little bit of a gray, a ruby blue, kind of like that. So let's save and close. And now I've got a darker format. You can see some of the words pop out a little better. There's different formatting on some of the text. The font's a little bit different. So with one mouse click, I've now changed the format and the way I like to work inside of Notepad Plus. These are capabilities that you'd normally get in an expensive professional text editing program, and they all just come for free in Notepad Plus. So if you're someone who works a lot with words in your operating system, you need to create text files, you need to edit files on your computer, or you just need a faster, simpler way to be able to manage the files, the text files in your computer, have a look at Notepad Plus. I think you'll like it. That is another episode of the Mobile Classroom. Hopefully you've seen some productivity apps that can really help you get up and running a lot faster on your computer and be able to use it a lot more efficiently. If you'd like to watch what we're doing here at the Mobile Classroom, you can always follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/Mobile Classroom. We also have a Facebook page that you can find, a link on our website to that at themobileclassroom.com. And if you'd like to send me an email, you can contact me directly at james@themobileclassroom.com. Thanks for joining us this week. We'll see you next time on the Mobile Classroom.